What are we discussing on today's Locked on Diamondbacks podcast? How the D-backs lost another important series to a National League playoff contender. And do we need to have a tough conversation about Gabriel Moreno versus Jose Herrera?
You are Locked on Diamondbacks, your daily Arizona Diamondbacks podcast, part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into the Locked on Diamondbacks podcast, part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day. You're listening to who? The always charismatic host of this podcast, Millard Thomas, multimedia journalist and a graphic designer. So please go check out my website, millardthomas24.myportfolio.com. On there, you can see all my latest work, from my packages to my articles to my photos and my graphic design. If you want to see more content by me, please follow me on Twitter at CreatorThomas24 for my personal account, or look up Locked on Diamondbacks both Twitter and Instagram for the podcast handle. On today's show, we're going to be discussing that awful D-back series loss to the New York Mets, Gabby versus Jose Herrera. Who should be starting for the Arizona Diamondbacks? We might need to have a tough conversation. And then Dodgers up next. We'll preview that series. So a whole bunch I want to talk to you guys about on today's Locked on Diamondbacks podcast. But first, I want to say thank you for making Locked on Diamondbacks your first listen every day. I would not be able to do this podcast without you, my loyal listeners, sharing, subscribing, reviewing, doing all that so I could do this podcast for you. Thank you. It's free. It's available on all platforms. So please continue to tell your friends. And one of those platforms is YouTube. Please hit subscribe to Locked on Diamondbacks on YouTube. Typically, we go live Sunday through Thursday. I'm currently out of town. As you can see, I'm in a hotel actually right now. If you're watching this on YouTube, I try to go live Sunday through Thursday, not this week, but follow me on Twitter so you can see when I go live, because I'll tweet out on social media before I do, or hit that little bell next to the subscribe button so you get notified when I go live. But now let's get into the Locked on Diamondbacks podcast. All right, back here on the Locked on D-backs podcast, and let's discuss that D-backs versus Mets series, because it was another frustrating, another very winnable series by the Arizona Diamondbacks, where they were not able to get the job done. This game started out like they wanted to win, but eventually everything fell apart. Everything unraveled for the D-backs, as we've seen a ton over the last few weeks. They had great patience early, those first few innings against Kodai Senga, a great approach at the plate, long at bats, 5 walks drawn the first 3 innings against Kodai. They were doing a good job of making him throw a ton of pitches. And then I don't really know what happened after that, because after Kodai was struggling and he was walking guys left and right, all of a sudden the D-back just started swinging away, and then he started having these really quick pitch innings, and Kodai ended up going 6 scoreless innings, which is insane because the D-backs had so many opportunities to win this game, right? We've seen the D-backs so many times blow games the last few weeks, blow series, not be able to execute on a high level, especially not on the level that these other National League playoff teams are. And the most frustrating thing about it is that it feels like it's the D-backs who hurt themselves more than it's them, than it's the other team getting wins from the D-backs. Does that make sense? It feels like the D-backs lose games more than the other team wins from the D-backs or wins against the D-backs. And I think, again, in this game, we saw a lot of little things with D-backs, the leadership that led to this loss. Geraldo Perdomo came into this game 4 RBI short of leading the league. He's led all shortstops so far in RBIs. He's batting .333, .954 OPS coming to this game with runners in scoring position. Really incredible numbers. But yet, when we have 2 people on, nobody out, what are we doing with Jerry? We're bunting with him. You guys know, if you've been listening to this podcast all season, you know how frustrated I am with the D-backs bunting, because it's stuff like that. Taking the bat out of Geraldo Perdomo's hand, who, like I just said, has been incredible in run scoring opportunities this year. And also, entering this game in his last 6 games, Geraldo Perdomo is 9 for 22, batting .409 overall with 9 RBIs. So not only is he incredible in run scoring opportunities, he's been your hottest player, arguably over the last week plus. And with nobody on and 2 out, or with no outs and 2 on, you're going to make him bunt. I just think that makes no sense. No other team is taking the bat out of their one of their best players' hands in that situation. If this was 2021 or 2022, Jerry, I would understand. But Jerry, the last couple of seasons, has really improved, worked on his game. He's now one of the most pivotal players in this D-backs lineup. And I don't know if Torey Lovullo realizes that, how good of an offensive player Perdomo actually is. And instead, we're taking the bat out of his hand in run scoring opportunities. I don't think that makes much sense at all. He should not be the sacrifice hits leader anymore. That was cool when the D-backs were winning 60 games, but no more. Let Geraldo Perdomo swing away in those situations. And then the other thing that really frustrated me in this game was that Alek Thomas double, Eugenio Suarez on first base. Stop sending Eugenio Suarez home if it's going to be a close play and he's running from first base. D-backs are second in the National League with outs at home. And guess what? Suarez leads the NL in outs at home plate. He's clearly not a good base runner, especially if you're trying to make him run long distances. He's a guy who's going to lose gas at the end of his sprint. And so when he's rounding third base, it's going to get a lot tougher for him to keep up the velocity and the sprint speed he was at. So can we please stop sending Eugenio Suarez if it's going to be a close play? Now, I do want to put some blame on the players. Carroll had a good day, but I did not like the jump he got on his first steal attempt. I think that's the big reason why he got thrown out. Pavin Smith, double play, that was a killer. It feels like Pavin Smith is starting to come back down to earth, which is not good for the D-backs because we still don't have enough players playing good baseball offensively right now. This was just another series as well where the D-back starters, I felt like, looked good. Zach Gallen was great in game number 2. Merrill Kelly fell apart a little bit in the end, but still, I thought this was a very good Merrill Kelly game. He still gave you 6.1, 3 earned runs, a quality start. I thought he was fantastic before coming apart a little bit in those last couple innings. So, again, your starters do his job, but the offense, not enough timely hits, not coming through with runners in scoring position. Bullpen continues to struggle. Late game situations. Jalen Beeks gives up a home run to Juan Soto, and then Jose Castillo, I just don't really understand his purpose on this bullpen. He doesn't seem like he's a very good reliever, but we keep pitching him. At least it's in low leverage, not important situations. And so for the Arizona Diamondbacks, this was another frustrating series where I could blame Torey Lovullo for a lot of things. The offense not coming through, I won't blame Torey Lovullo for that, but there is definitely some in-game management, in-game execution that Torey Lovullo did not do. But also you got to look at the players and say they need to play better as well. But from top to bottom, this team has bad vibes right now, and the only way they can fix it is with a nice series win against the LA Dodgers, which we'll preview in segment number 3. Looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller longer. My favorite Wonderful Pistachios I actually have right here. Sorry to the audio listeners only. You're going to have to go to YouTube for this one because right next to me, I got 3 of my favorite flavors here. And this is what is great about Wonderful Pistachios. Unsalted right here, no shell. Chili roasted, no shell. And then this one is roasted and salted with the shell. The great thing about Wonderful Pistachios is the variety. You could get salted, unsalted, with shell, no shell. Get a little kick to it if you wanted to. No matter what flavor you want, they have a variety and a profile that fits just for you. So please go get yourself some wonderful pistachios, get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. Back here on the Locked on D-backs podcast. Now let's have a conversation about Jose Herrera versus Gabby Moreno and talk about playing time with these two guys, because so far, you look at their numbers in 2025 and you say, offensively, you take the names off the back of the jerseys and you don't see a lot of difference between those two players. And I don't know if that's a good thing for the Arizona Diamondbacks. If Gabby and Jose Herrera are putting up the same numbers, I think it'd be a good thing if it was like Gabby's first year with the D-backs where he looked like a really good offensive player, right? If Gabby was batting 290 with a 780 OPS and Jose Herrera was matching that, we'd be like, man, we got two great offensive catchers and good defensive catchers, because Gabby's still that. But the issue is Gabby's batting 233, 587 OPS, 67 OPS plus, 71 WRC plus. Jose Herrera, you look at his numbers, well, he's batting 200. Oh, actually, let me look at his numbers after today. Let me put some respect. He's batting 195. He's got like a 66 WRC plus. Like, the numbers offensively for both of them are not very good. Gabby's are a little bit better, but not by much. And that is kind of the issue right now with the D-backs catching situation, is that you're getting nothing from either of them offensively. And Gabby was a guy who I thought coming to this year was going to take a huge step forward. I thought he was going to be one of like the 10 best catchers in Major League Baseball. When you look at WRC plus, I thought offensively this was going to be his breakout season. And so far, it has not been the case. And the question I really need to ask you guys is, if Gabby and Jose are going to put up similar numbers offensively, do we need to take a look at some other stats that justify splitting the time more evenly between those two catchers? Because the stats that matter to me, if Gabby's not going to hit, is the pitcher production. And right now, when I look at the numbers, when we look at catcher ERA, Jose's like a 3.3, Gabby's like a 4.9. The pitchers from top to bottom, staff ERA skews heavily toward Jose Herrera. Now, I do think it's not totally fair, because Gabby has caught a lot of these struggling cup of coffee dudes like the Gilbert Diaz's, the guys that come up for just a couple days, get lit up, and then get sent back down. It feels like Gabby has caught more of those dudes. But when I see the splits with the core guys on this D-back squad, those are the numbers I definitely care about. Because when you look at like Zach Gallen, Brandon Pfaadt, Erod, those three players definitely lean better when they're getting caught by Jose Herrera. Zach Gallen looks, almost unhittable when he's getting caught by Jose Herrera. His numbers this season, 141 average, a 491 OPS when getting caught by Jose. But when we look at it versus Gabby Moreno, a 238 average, not bad. A 754 OPS, not bad. But it's numbers of a Cy Young award winner versus like a number 2 starting pitcher. Like, a lot better when he's with Jose. Same with Brandon Pfaadt, 827 OPS with Gabby, but 689 OPS when he's with Jose. Erod, 779 OPS when he's with Jose, but when he's with Gabby, it's a 924 OPS. But then there are starters who have the reverse splits and they pitch better with Gabby as opposed to Jose Herrera. A guy like Merrill Kelly, he's unhittable when he's getting caught by Gabby Moreno, even though he didn't get caught by Gabby Moreno today. But this season, 171 average, 499 OPS. And then entering today, before he got caught by Jose Herrera, Merrill Kelly had a 241 average and an 816 OPS allowed. And so my kind of philosophy of what I want to see the D-backs do is, let's start the catcher that pairs better statistically with the starting pitcher. If we know a guy like Zach Gallen looks like a Cy Young Award pitcher, one guy, versus just like an all-star level pitcher with the other guy, let's put him with the guy more consistently where he looks like a Cy Young pitcher for. Same with Merrill Kelly. It's okay if we need to split the playing time a little bit more evenly between Jose and Gabby. I'm even okay with Jose potentially getting more playing time with Gabby. I don't know if I'm super okay with that, but if Gabby's stats just don't get better, it's hard to justify just saying the defense is just so much better than Jose, because at the end of the day, if the pitchers perform better with one guy, I think that's better than a couple steals allowed from time to time. Maybe Jose, is not as good as the framing, maybe not as good as throwing out guys, maybe he's not as good at protecting the plate. But at the end of the day, if there are less runs on the board when Jose's behind the plate than when Gabby's behind the plate, I think that's the only stat that really matters. And so I think it would be actually smart if the D-backs paired their catchers with the pitchers that they do better with. I don't think you see too many teams really do that because most teams like to have just their one everyday starting catcher, and you still have your backup, but you never see too many situations where the backup plays as much, if not more, than the starter just because of what the splits are saying with the pitchers. And I think you could even, if you wanted to, take it a step farther and not just say with the starters, because there's even splits where you look at the relievers and there are definitely certain guys that pitch better with certain catchers as well. And so hypothetically, if you started a game with Jose Herrera because Zach Gallen's pitching and clearly Gallen pitches better when Jose's on the mound, well, guess what? If you're bringing in J Mart in the seventh, or excuse me, J Mart in the ninth for the save, then maybe you bring in Moreno to be the catcher in the ninth inning because he's better with J Mart. Like, why not use both your catchers in the same game? Let one guy come in for the starter, the other guy come in for the bullpen, vice versa. Like, if you're already doing this, like, treat it almost like how you treat bench players, right? And guys off the bench to hit, right? We have these defensive substitutions as well in Major League Baseball. Look at it like a defensive substitution. You're just doing a catcher substitution that performs better with a certain pitcher. So I think it's something that I would like to see the D-backs do a little bit more. And again, I want to preface this. I'm only doing this because of where Gabby's numbers are right now offensively. If he gets better offensively, if he gets to the level that I think he can play at, if his bat wakes up, then yeah, we can have a conversation and say Gabby should go back to playing more. He's still a better defensive player. Now his offense is coming around, and there's still time for Gabby to turn it around. There is still a lot of stats that support Gabby having a better season than what we're currently seeing. A lot of the expected stats, expected WABA, I think Gabby is going to be much better soon. The hard contact stats are some of the best he's ever put up. When you look at exit velocity, hard hit percentage. And so a lot of the underlying advanced stats still like Gabby this season. They still think he's performing well and think the numbers should be better than what they currently are. So until that happens, let's see a little bit more even of a split. Let's pair the guys with certain pitchers. And then once Gabby's bat starts to wake up, we could play him a little bit more going forward. And we'll need his bat to wake up in this next series because the one guy that always kills the D-backs is Will Smith, the catcher for the LA Dodgers, as we'll preview that series next.
Get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trades, Supply House. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with the complete inventory of 200,000 parts from 400 top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for trade pros looking for an extra edge, their free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage. Now it's your turn. Join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SHF for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com.
Back here on the Locked on D-backs podcast. Don't forget to follow me on social media at CreatorThomas24 from my personal account on Twitter, or Locked on Diamondbacks, both Twitter and Instagram for the podcast handle. Now let's talk about the next series against the LA Dodgers, because this is going to be the D-backs' best opportunity. Yes, it's only May 7th, but to stake themselves in the division and in the playoff race and show that they are a contender in the National League. I don't care what people say about why is this guy so concerned about early series, early games, the standings. I think all that matters. I never like to give up games if my team can help it. If we can go for the victory, stack up wins, I think it's so important. I think getting wins early in the season is so important. I would much rather stack up wins I would much rather be like the 2023 Arizona Diamondbacks that started the season hot and kind of back their way into the postseason, because I think it's so much smarter to stack up wins early just in case if you struggle in the second half or if you want to rest your players more in the second half. I think it just more benefits to your team to get wins early in the season. Last year, we didn't get wins early in the season. We tried to play catch up in the second half of the year, ended up biting us. And right now, 2025 feels very similar to how 2024 started, because we're losing so many of these series that are definitely going to come back to haunt us later in the year. And that's why this series against the Dodgers is so important. You're 5 to 6 games back of the division lead with a 4-game series coming up against LA. This is a series for the D-backs to really prove to themselves that they are a playoff contender, because the vibes right now do not look good in Arizona. And this series could be the perfect catalyst to put the D-backs back on track, because you look at their most recent series against teams that are going to be fighting with them all season long. The D-backs did not do a good job against the rest of the National League. You lost your series to the Atlanta Braves. You lost your series to the Philadelphia Phillies, and that series probably felt a little bit more winnable than Atlanta. You split your 2 series with the Mets. Probably a winnable series, but also the Mets definitely outplayed the D-backs in both those series. You lost your series to the Cubs after splitting the first one. So far through 2 series, you're down. Like the D-backs against teams that we know are going to be in the NL race, NL wildcard race all season long. They're already starting behind the 8 ball if you're counting early season tiebreakers. And guess what? I am. Losing those series early matters, okay? Because you're going to look at the end of the season, or you're going to get to the end of the season and look back at the start of the season and say, man, that series right there, that killed us. That series right there, that killed us. That's why we didn't make the postseason, just like what we did last year in 2024. So I'm hoping going against a familiar opponent and someone that you have true disdain against in the LA Dodgers could spark something in the Arizona Diamondbacks. Going against a team that you see all the time, face multiple times a year, a team that, from at least the D-backs perspective, you have a real rivalry against. This is the team that you probably hate the most. This is definitely the team that you want to get up for the most, right? I'm hoping the D-backs can wake up. Finally, it feels like they've been sleepwalking the last couple weeks. We need the D-backs to wake up in this series, especially that offense. I don't know what has happened to it. They still have their good days where they could put up 6, 7, 8 runs, but overall consistency hasn't been there the last 2 or 3 weeks. We've seen some guys start to come back to earth, look a little bit more immortal. A guy like Pavin Smith, he's definitely starting to look more like the normal Pavin Smith, like that double play ball we saw today. The strikeout rate is still pretty high. The batting average has taken a major dip recently. He's down to 287. The OBP and the slug still looking fantastic, but you definitely see the numbers starting to trend in the wrong direction. Josh Naylor, he's also starting to cool off a little bit as well. He went 0 for 4 in the finale against the Mets. The numbers still look pretty good, but again, just starting to tail off just a little bit. We do have a hot Lourdes Gurriel right now, but that doesn't really matter if no one else is getting going. It feels like Lourdes Gurriel, outside of like the second game against the Mets, to be honest, it feels like a lot of the Gurriel's offensive impact is in like moments that don't matter. I feel like he just doesn't get like the timely hits or like hits that create momentum for the D-backs or in like big scoring opportunities. Like maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's just a feeling and an eye test thing that doesn't actually match up to the stats. But I never feel like Gurriel comes through in the biggest moments or starts the biggest moments. It just doesn't feel like a catalyst for me, and I don't know why. D-backs need to overall get more timely hits. They need to be better at base running too. Like, it's so sad that this D-backs team has turned into a bad base running team, because that was our calling card, our philosophy, our identity just a couple years ago when we went to the World Series. Hashtag chaos with that D-backs A was our Twitter hashtag, and so far the only chaos we have is for ourselves when we create outs at home plate, when we get thrown out trying to steal. Like, it's disgusting. How many times have we ended a game or lost the game because we tried to steal, like second base in the ninth inning? How many times have we seen guys get thrown out at home plate this season? Like, it's sad that the base running has been bad for the D-backs this season. It's also sad that the D-backs defense hasn't been better, because maybe the identity was chaos and base running in 2023, but under Torey Lovullo's entire era, the identity has been defense. And so far this season, the defense has been up and down, been shaky. Tim Tawa had that one play today where he bobbles the ball. Thankfully, it didn't cost the D-backs, but it was a play where he bobbles it, it hits off his leg, and he can't find it for some reason. He finally does. He thinks it's like over his head. He's like looking up at the sky. It's right in front of him. So thankfully that didn't bite us today, but defensively, he hasn't been great for the D-backs. They need to be better defensively overall. Alec Thomas is like the only guy that I really love defensively. They need to be better, because you can't make mistakes like they've been making against a team as talented as the LA Dodgers. We're going to see two more nasty Japanese pitchers the next 2 days, and Yamamoto and Roki Sasaki. I do like how Brandon Pfaadt is matched up against Yamamoto, because Pfaadt definitely feels like a guy that rises to the competition. So I think when he sees Yamamoto on the other mound with that sub-1 ERA having a Cy Young season, I think Brandon Pfaadt is going to bring his best stuff tomorrow. So maybe you take the unders for like the first 6 innings of the ball game, and then take the overs once you get to the bullpen, because Dodgers offense might kill this D-backs bullpen, because we need the bullpen to step up in a big way. It has been so shaky recently, and it doesn't sound like J Mart's going to be starting in this series at all. He's starting his throwing program this week, but I wouldn't expect to see him in this series against the LA Dodgers. Kendall Graveman, he's in AAA. He's doing rehab, but I wouldn't expect him in this series as well. I don't want to rush either back for this series. Corbin Burns is expected to be back, so we'll need our number one ace pitcher, highest paid player in franchise history, to step up against the LA Dodgers, because this is why we got him. This is why we're paying him. So let's see a nice, I don't want to split. The D-backs need a series win against the LA Dodgers, so let's let this series be the catalyst for the rest of 2025. Now that's it for this edition of the Locked On Diamondbacks podcast. Come back tomorrow for more Diamondbacks news coverage and insight. And as always, stay safe, stay healthy. Doses.